Forget Hollywood's portrayal of frontier ammunition. Tucked away in forgotten gun catalogs and dusty archives, are cartridge designs so groundbreaking, so destructive, they completely redefine survival on the American West. Today, we're counting down 15 obscure bullet types that equipped cowboys, lawmen, and outlaws alike, featuring everything from paper-wrapped death that dissolved in the rain to explosive rounds banned by international law. Stay tuned for number 1, as we reveal a cartridge so perilous, so unpredictable, it claimed more of its users than their adversaries. Number 15. The volcanic rocket ball, the underpowered dream. Imagine a bullet that wasn't truly a bullet at all, but a hollowed-out projectile packed with gunpowder and topped with a primer. Appearing more like a miniature rocket than a practical round, the volcanic rocket ball stands as one of the most ambitious yet spectacularly failed ammunition experiments of the 1850s. It promised revolutionary firepower, but delivered little more than disappointment and danger. Developed by the Volcanic Repeating Arms Company before its transformation into Winchester, this .41 caliber curiosity held its propellant within the bullet itself. On paper, the concept seemed brilliant. Eliminate the separate powder charge, create a fully self-contained round, and achieve rapid-fire capability years ahead of metallic cartridges. Engineers believed they had unearthed the future of ammunition technology. However, reality swiftly shattered these ambitions. The rocket ball muzzle velocities so abysmal they barely surpassed 200 feet per second, roughly comparable to a modern pellet gun. Shooters often reported watching their bullets arc through the air like stones. Against heavy clothing or even light cover, the rounds proved nearly ineffective. Indigenous warriors quickly learned that settlers armed with volcanic weapons posed little threat beyond point-blank range. The psychological impact actually worked in reverse. Opponents who survived a rocket ball hit often retaliated with devastating effect, emboldened by the weapon's clear weakness. Number 14. The combustible paper cartridge, the rain's worst enemy. Picture carrying ammunition that could be entirely incapacitated by a single rainstorm, effectively transforming your loaded revolver into little more than an expensive club. Before metallic cartridges dominated the frontier, combustible paper cartridges represented the vanguard of black powder technology, offering speed and convenience, but burdened with one disastrous flaw. These inventive rounds encased a measured powder charge and a lead ball in specially treated paper that would completely burn upon firing, leaving no residue to extract. For cavalry troopers and frontiersmen using Colt percussion revolvers during the 1850s and 60s, paper cartridges meant loading 6 chambers in under a minute, a stark contrast to the laborious 5-minute process required for loose powder and ball. The Union Army issued millions of these cartridges during the Civil War, and surplus stocks streamed westward after 1865. Cowboys and settlers immediately recognized their tactical advantage. In a gunfight, the ability to reload quickly often determined the outcome between survival and death. Paper cartridges provided that edge, but moisture was their mortal enemy. A river crossing, heavy fog, or an unexpected downpour could ruin an entire supply in minutes. The treated paper absorbed water like a sponge, causing the powder to clump and primers to fail. Countless frontier accounts detail shooters pulling triggers only to hear clicks, their ammunition destroyed by the very environment they were trying to survive in. Astute frontiersmen learned to store paper cartridges in waxed pouches or metal tins, which added bulk and weight to their gear. Others simply abandoned them once metallic cartridges became available in the early 1870s. The paper cartridge era ended not due to inferior performance when dry, but because the frontier demanded reliability in all conditions, which paper simply could not deliver. Number 13. The .56-56 Spencer rimfire, the cavalry's powerhouse. Imagine a cartridge so potent for its era that it could pierce a horse and still retain enough energy to fell the rider behind it. Yet so obsolete within a decade that the army sold it as surplus for pennies per round. The .56-56 Spencer rimfire epitomized Civil War-era firepower, only to become a forgotten relic of frontier history. Introduced in 1860 for the groundbreaking Spencer repeating rifle, this .56 caliber rimfire round propelled a conical bullet weighing over 350 grains, driven by 45 grains of black powder. The result was devastating terminal performance, making it the most powerful repeating rifle cartridge of its time. When Union cavalry charged Confederate lines with Spencer carbines, the .56-56 cartridge endowed them with overwhelming firepower advantages. After the war, thousands of surplus Spencer rifles and millions of rounds made their way west. Native warriors who captured these weapons quickly recognized their lethal potential. Buffalo hunters utilized them before transitioning to more powerful single-shot rifles. Stage guards and lawmen valued the Spencer's 7-shot capacity, combined with serious stopping power. The psychological impact of confronting Spencer-armed opponents was significant. The distinctive crack of the .56-56 round and its ability to reach targets beyond 300 yards instilled fear across the plains. Outlaws soon learned that charging a man with a Spencer carbine was suicidal, as he could discharge all 7 rounds before they could close the distance. However, the rimfire design proved to be its undoing. The soft copper case easily warped in hot conditions, leading to extraction failures. Primers were notoriously unreliable, with misfire rates sometimes exceeding 10%. Once centerfire cartridges like the .45-70 emerged in 1873, the Spencer system was rendered obsolete overnight, and with it, the .56-56 cartridge faded into history. Number 12. The .41 Short Colt, the gentleman's derringer load. Imagine a cartridge so diminutive and weak that gamblers specifically carried it because it wouldn't reliably penetrate thick clothing, ensuring their shots remained within saloons without imperiling innocent bystanders outside. The .41 Short Colt represented frontier gunfighting at its most intimate and calculated. Designed for point-blank confrontations where precision held more importance than raw power. Introduced in 1863 for Colt's miniature Derringer pistols, this stubby rimfire round propelled a 130-grain lead ball with just 13 grains of powder. The resulting muzzle energy barely surpassed 100 foot-pounds, establishing it as one of the weakest commercial cartridges of that era. At distances beyond 10 feet, it became almost useless for anything beyond creating a loud noise. Yet affluent gamblers, saloon owners, and traveling businessmen specifically opted for .41 short derringers for concealed carry. Their rationale was brutal but pragmatic. In a crowded poker room or behind a bar, you needed something that would neutralize an immediate threat without introducing additional dangers. The .41 Short delivered a painful, shocking impact at contact range while minimizing risks of over-penetration. Famous frontier figures carried .41 derringers as backup weapons. Some historians contend that Wild Bill Hickok kept one in his vest pocket alongside his Navy Colts. The psychological advantage stemmed from surprise, not power. A man might survive being shot with a .41 short, but the sheer shock of being struck often brought confrontations to an immediate halt. In the long run, the cartridge's weakness became its death knell. As the frontier grew more violent and gunfights shifted to streets and open country, the .41 short's limited range made it obsolete. By the 1880s, even gamblers were transitioning to more powerful pocket revolvers. The .41 short remained in production until the early 1900s, but primarily as a curiosity for collectors who appreciated its elegant, deadly utility in specific circumstances. Number 11. The .44 Henry rimfire, the foundation that Winchester built. Picture the ammunition that launched an empire, a cartridge so revolutionary it made repeating rifles practical for the first time, yet so flawed that within a decade its inventor had to completely re-engineer it or risk losing the entire market. The .44 Henry rimfire wasn't merely ammunition, it was the round that proved lever-action repeaters could dominate the frontier. Benjamin Tyler Henry specifically designed this cartridge in 1860 for his groundbreaking 16-shot lever-action rifle. The .44 Henry propelled a 200-grain bullet with 26 grains of powder, generating modest but reliable performance. What it lacked in sheer power, it compensated for with a volume of fire that terrified anyone facing it. During the Civil War, Union soldiers, armed with Henry rifles, affectionately dubbed it the gun you load on Sunday and shoot all week. The .44 Henry cartridge made that reputation possible. Soldiers could discharge all 16 rounds in under 30 seconds, creating a wall of lead that no single-shot musket could match. After 1865, surplus Henry rifles flooded the frontier. Cowboys discovered the ammunition worked adequately for deer hunting and self-defense. The mere sound of a Henry being cycled struck fear into opponents who knew 16 shots were imminent. However, the cartridge possessed fatal flaws. The exposed rim easily bent during rough handling. The copper cases were too soft, leading to extraction failures in dusty conditions. Most critically, the .44 Henry simply lacked sufficient stopping power for serious frontier work. Number 10. The .45 Schofield, the military's compromised round. Imagine a cartridge specifically designed to rectify a military procurement fiasco, created because the army purchased two different revolvers that couldn't share ammunition, leading to logistical chaos on the frontier. The .45 Schofield served as a prime illustration of a compromise cartridge, offering robust performance while resolving administrative obstacles that tragically cost soldiers' lives. In 1875, the Army encountered a severe issue. They had issued Colt single-action Army revolvers chambered in .45 Colt, subsequently ordering thousands of Smith & Wesson Schofield revolvers equipped with shorter cylinders that could not accommodate the longer .45 Colt rounds. On the battlefield, this situation meant cavalry units were saddled with two incompatible ammunition types, leading to logistical nightmares. Smith & Wesson's ingenious solution involved shortening the .45 Colt casing by 1/10 of an inch, thereby creating the .45 Schofield cartridge. The brilliance lay in its design. Schofield rounds functioned perfectly in both revolver types, whereas the longer .45 Colt would only fit the Army Colt. This innovation allowed units to carry a single ammunition type, ensuring both revolver models remained operational. The .45 Schofield propelled a 230-grain bullet with 28 grains of powder, yielding slightly less velocity than the .45 Colt, but still delivering significant stopping power. At typical gunfight distances under 50 yards, the performance difference was negligible. Cavalry troopers valued the standardized ammunition supply far more than they missed an extra 50 feet per second. Outlaws quickly caught on, with Jesse James and his gang reportedly favoring Schofield revolvers during robbery. Next, consider the .32 rimfire short, the pocket protector. Imagine a cartridge so diminutive that one could carry 100 rounds in a vest pocket without perceptible added weight, yet potent enough at arm's length to decisively end a confrontation. The .32 rimfire short epitomized the era's ultimate backup ammunition, favored by anyone requiring concealed firepower without the bulk of full-sized revolvers. Introduced in the late 1860s, this tiny cartridge fired an 80-grain lead bullet with only 8 grains of powder. Its muzzle energy barely surpassed 70 foot-pounds, categorizing it among the weakest commercially successful cartridges in American history. Beyond 15 feet, it was practically useless for anything except recreational target practice. However, at close range, it could indeed be lethal. The .32 short found its niche in miniature pocket revolvers like the Colt New Line and Smith & Wesson No. 1.5 models. These palm-sized firearms could vanish into coat pockets, waistbands, or boot tops, making them ideal for professionals who couldn't openly carry larger sidearms. Gamblers, traveling salesmen, and even some undercover lawmen depended on .32 rimfire pocket guns. The psychological dynamics were fascinating. Drawing a tiny .32 revolver sent mixed signals, indicating one was armed, but not necessarily seeking serious conflict. Many confrontations concluded when the mere sight of a gun persuaded opponents to retreat. The actual caliber often mattered less than the willingness to use it. Nevertheless, the cartridge's weakness presented problems. Multiple documented instances exist of .32 rimfire rounds failing to penetrate heavy winter coats or leather vests. Shooters learned to aim for exposed areas, such as the face and neck, where even weak bullets could inflict fatal wounds. This precision targeting requirement made the .32 short purely a last resort defensive round. Production persisted well into the early 1900s, long after more effective cartridges became available. The .32 rimfire short's longevity stemmed from its specific niche: ultimate concealability combined with just enough lethality to be relevant. It was never intended to win gunfights, but rather to afford a desperate chance when all other options failed. Next, the .56-52 Spencer, the Buffalo Runner's Choice. Picture a cartridge capable of bringing down a 2,000-pound buffalo at 300 yards, yet so costly and scarce that professional hunters frequently went bankrupt trying to supply their rifles. The .56-52 Spencer represented the most powerful rimfire cartridge ever commercially produced, delivering devastating performance in a package that ultimately led to its obscurity. Introduced in 1865 as an improvement over the original .56-56 Spencer, this behemoth chambered a 380-grain bullet with 52 grains of powder, hence its designation. The resulting muzzle energy exceeded 1,800 foot-pounds, making it more potent than many contemporary hunting cartridges. In skilled hands, it could achieve lethal accuracy beyond 500 yards. Professional buffalo hunters adopted the .56-52 before the more renowned Sharps rifles came to dominate the plains. Its power, combined with the Spencer rifle's 7-shot magazine, provided hunters with a significant advantage over single-shot weapons. A proficient shooter could fell multiple buffalo from a single position, maximizing profits before the herd dispersed. Native warriors who encountered Spencer-armed cavalry swiftly realized that charging positions defended by these rifles was nearly suicidal. The combination of rapid fire and bone-crushing power made the .56-521 of the most feared military cartridges of the Indian Wars. However, the rimfire design harbored critical flaws. The immense pressures strained the copper cases beyond their limits, leading to frequent case head separations, which sometimes jammed rifles during crucial moments. Moving on to the .4440 Winchester, the cartridge that united firearms. Imagine ammunition so ingeniously designed that it functioned equally well in rifles and revolvers, enabling frontier settlers to carry just one cartridge type for both their long gun and sidearm. The .4040 Winchester was not merely a successful cartridge. It became the single most popular ammunition on the American frontier, outselling all competing designs. Introduced in 1873 alongside the legendary Winchester Model 73 rifle, this cartridge fired a 200-grain bullet with 40 grains of powder. Its name denoted its caliber and powder charge. .44 in diameter, 40 grains of powder. Simple, memorable, and destined for immortality. Its genius lay in its versatility. Within a year, Colt chambered their single-action Army revolver in .44-40, followed by virtually every major revolver manufacturer. Cowboys could now carry a Winchester rifle and a Colt revolver that shared ammunition, immensely simplifying supply logistics. On a 3-month cattle drive, hundreds of miles from the nearest town, this convenience was literally life-saving. The .4040 provided adequate power for most frontier requirements. It could take down deer, defend against hostile threats, and performed reliably in gunfights at typical ranges under 100 yards. While not as powerful as the .45-70 Government, it achieved a perfect balance between effectiveness and shootability. Its psychological impact stemmed from its ubiquity. Everyone on the frontier recognized the crack of a .44-40. Its popularity ensured ammunition availability even in the smallest frontier outposts. Next, the .45-70 Government, the standardization revolution. Imagine the United States military finally standardizing on a single rifle and cartridge for every soldier, ending decades of logistical disarray where units carried incompatible weapons. The .45-70 Government represented more than just ammunition. It was the Army's inaugural successful attempt at standardization, creating a cartridge so effective that it served for nearly 20 years and influenced civilian ammunition for generations. Adopted in 1873 for the Springfield trapdoor rifle, the .45-70 fired a 405-grain bullet with 70 grains of powder. Its name adhered to military designation, .457 in diameter, 70 grains of powder. This massive round generated over 1,500 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, delivering devastating stopping power against any threat on the frontier. The Army issued millions of .45-70 cartridges during the Indian Wars. At the Battle of Little Bighorn, Custer's troops carried Springfield rifles chambered in this caliber. Soldiers lauded its long-range accuracy and bone-crushing impact. Although the single-shot trapdoor rifle limited its effectiveness against repeating rifles, civilian shooters quickly adopted the .45-70 for hunting. Its heavy bullet penetrated buffalo, elk, and bear with authority. Frontier settlers appreciated that military surplus ammunition was inexpensive and readily available. Countless small-town general stores stocked .45-70 rounds alongside basic supplies. Firearms manufacturers recognized the market potential. Within years, companies like Winchester, Marlin, and Sharps chambered sporting rifles in .45-70. This civilian adoption guaranteed the cartridge's longevity far beyond its military service life. Buffalo hunters, employing Sharps rifles in .45-70, decimated the great herds, permanently altering the Great Plains ecosystem. The psychological weight of the .45-70 was significant. Its distinctive boom and visible smoke cloud signaled serious firepower. Outlaws understood that lawmen carrying .45-70 Springfields meant business. The round's reputation for dropping targets with a single hit made it both respected and feared. However, the cartridge wasn't flawless. Its heavy recoil punished shooters during extended practice, and the black powder fouling necessitated constant cleaning. The single-shot military rifles firing it proved inferior to repeaters in sustained firefights. Yet, for raw power and standardization, the .45-70 government achieved what no previous military cartridge had: true universal adoption. Finally, the .41 Long Colt, the forgotten middle ground. Envision a cartridge designed to strike a balance between the weak .41 Short and the powerful .45 Colt, promising the perfect equilibrium of power and shootability. Yet, it failed so completely that it vanished from catalogs within a generation. The .41 Long Colt represented one of ammunition history's most perplexing failures, a technically sound design that nobody wanted. Introduced in 1877, the .41 Long Colt fired a 200-grain bullet with 21 grains of powder. Colt specifically designed it for their double-action Lightning and Thunderer revolvers, aiming to create a cartridge potent enough for serious defensive work, but gentle enough for rapid-fire shooting. On paper, the theory was sound. The .41 Long demonstrated respectable performance, with muzzle energy surpassing 400 foot-pounds, positioning it effectively between the lighter .38 and the heavier .45 rounds. Shooters found its accuracy excellent, and recoil remained manageable, even in the relatively light Lightning revolvers. For law enforcement needing rapid, successive shots, the .41 Long seemed ideal. Indeed, some prominent frontier figures adopted it. A number of Texas Rangers carried .41 Lightning revolvers, appreciating their double-action speed coupled with adequate stopping power. Stagecoach guards and railway detectives also showed interest. The cartridge functioned reliably and precisely as intended, yet it ultimately failed commercially. The core issue was its market positioning. Cowboys and settlers seeking a serious defensive cartridge opted for .45 Colts, while those preferring lighter recoil chose .38s or .32s. The .41 Long found itself in an undesirable middle ground, lacking a compelling advantage to justify purchasing a new revolver and adopting an unfamiliar cartridge. This led to a self-reinforcing cycle regarding ammunition availability. Because few people bought firearms chambered in .41 Long, stores didn't stock the ammunition. Conversely, the scarcity of ammunition discouraged further gun purchases. By the 1890s, Colt had largely phased out the cartridge, though limited production continued into the early 20th century. The failure of the .41 Long Colt offers a crucial lesson in frontier commerce. Technical excellence was irrelevant without market demand. Shooters favored established cartridges with guaranteed ammunition access, not experimental designs that might leave them with an expensive, inoperable firearm. We've meticulously searched through decades of ammunition catalogs and shooting journals to unearth these forgotten cartridges. If this deep dive into lost history is valuable to you, a quick like helps us continue researching and sharing these untold stories. Number 4. The .56-46 Spencer Sporting, the Hunter's Adaptation. Imagine taking a military cartridge and perfecting it for civilian use, creating ammunition that delivered sporting rifle accuracy while maintaining the power essential for dangerous game. The .56-46 Spencer Sporting represented one of the earliest successful military-to-civilian cartridge conversions, providing buffalo hunters and settlers with a refined tool built upon proven battlefield technology. Introduced in the late 1860s, the .56-46 fired a lighter 350-grain bullet with 46 grains of powder. Compared to its military predecessor, this sporting variant sacrificed some raw power for improved long-range accuracy and reduced fouling. This optimization made it ideal for deliberate, aimed shots at distant game, rather than rapid-fire combat. Professional hunters on the Great Plains adopted the .56-46 before more renowned buffalo rifles emerged. Its combination of Spencer rifle reliability and optimized sporting ballistics made it effective for commercial hunting operations. A skilled marksman could cleanly bring down buffalo at 400 yards, preserving valuable hides from unnecessary damage. The cartridge's sporting pedigree also attracted affluent eastern hunters venturing west for adventure. Outfitters stocked .56-46 ammunition because their paying clients expected specialized hunting ammunition, not wartime supplies. This commercial success helped establish the pattern of sporting cartridges commanding premium prices over military surplus. However, the .56-46's success was short-lived. When Sharps introduced their powerful falling block rifles with custom sporting cartridges in the early 1870s, the Spencer system's limitations became apparent. Its tubular magazine restricted bullet shapes, and the toggle link action proved less robust than Sharp's solid breech design. Furthermore, the .56-46's rimfire primer technology was already obsolete at its introduction. Centerfire cartridges offered superior reliability and permitted reloading, critical advantages for hunters operating far from supply sources. Professional buffalo hunters demanded every possible advantage, and by 1875, most had switched to centerfire Sharps rifles. The .56-46 Spencer Sporting quietly vanished, with production ceasing around 1877. Its brief existence highlighted the industry's shift from military designs adapted for civilian use towards purpose-built sporting cartridges. Within a decade, the entire rimfire era would conclude, replaced by centerfire ammunition that dominated the subsequent century. Number 3. The .44 Wesson Extra Long, the target shooter's precision round. Envision a cartridge so elongated it looked ludicrous protruding from a revolver cylinder. Designed not for gunfights or hunting, but for the burgeoning sport of precision target shooting, the .44 Wesson Extra Long represented frontier ammunition's most specialized design. It was created for competitive marksmen who prioritized accuracy above all else. Introduced by Smith & Wesson in the early 1870s, this cartridge measured nearly 1.5 inches long, making it one of the longest revolver rounds of its time. It fired a 240-grain bullet with a generous powder charge, optimized for consistent velocity and minimal variation between shots. The result was exceptional accuracy potential in properly tuned revolvers. Competitive target shooters on the frontier enthusiastically adopted the .44 extra long. Shooting clubs in major cities like San Francisco, Denver, and Kansas City hosted regular matches where accuracy at 50 yards distinguished winners from losers. The extra long's consistency gave serious competitors a measurable advantage over standard hunting or combat ammunition. The cartridge's psychological impact stemmed from its specialized nature. Carrying a revolver chambered in .44 extra long announced you were a serious shooter, someone who invested in equipment for a single purpose, placing bullets precisely where intended. This reputation sometimes diffused confrontations before they escalated, as few wished to confront a known marksman. However, the extra long's specialization ultimately spelled its commercial demise. Cowboys required versatile ammunition for multiple purposes, not just precision target rounds. The extra long cases were more expensive to manufacture and fragile during rough handling. Most critically, very few firearms were ever chambered for it, limiting market growth. Ammunition production remained consistently limited. Smith & Wesson primarily manufactured the rounds for their own target revolvers, with minimal marketing to other manufacturers. By the 1880s, the .44 Russian cartridge had emerged as the preferred target round, offering comparable accuracy with broader firearm compatibility. The .44 Wesson extra long disappeared quietly, remembered only by shooting sports historians as an early attempt at purpose-built target ammunition. Its failure demonstrated that even superior performance couldn't overcome limited platform availability. The frontier demanded versatility, and the extra long was simply too specialized to survive. Number 2. The .44-77 Sharps, the English Express adaptation. Imagine British gunmakers examining American buffalo rifles and concluding they could construct something even more powerful by applying British Express rifle technology to frontier cartridge designs. The .44-77 Sharps represented the ultimate black powder hunting cartridge, combining American power with British precision engineering into ammunition that pushed the technological limits of its era. Developed in the mid-1870s, this cartridge fired a massive 420-grain bullet with 77 grains of powder. The pressures generated approached the maximum safe limits for black powder cartridges, delivering over 2,000 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. This made it more powerful than standard military ammunition and comparable to the largest buffalo rifles. Wealthy sportsmen hunting dangerous game adopted the .44-77. Its extreme power made it suitable for the largest North American animals, including grizzly bears and buffalo bulls. The British influence was evident in the cartridge's precise manufacturing tolerances and carefully optimized bullet design for maximum penetration. Professional hunters rarely used the .44-77 despite its immense power. The extreme recoil severely punished shooters during extended hunts, limiting accuracy on follow-up shots. The heavy bullets and powder charges made it expensive, sometimes costing triple the price of standard .45-70 ammunition. For commercial hunters operating on thin margins, such expenses were prohibitive. The cartridge found its true niche among Eastern sportsmen and European nobles visiting America for trophy hunting. These affluent adventurers valued extreme power and were willing to pay premium prices for ammunition that guaranteed clean kills on dangerous game. Outfitters catering to wealthy clients stocked .44-77 ammunition as a mark of prestige. But the cartridge's extreme nature limited its practical adoption. Most frontier settlers and working hunters found it simply too much gun for everyday needs. The punishing recoil discouraged practice, leading to poor marksmanship when it counted. The high cost meant many shooters bought only a single box for their entire hunting season. Production remained limited throughout its existence. By the late 1880s, smokeless powder technology was emerging, promising even greater power without black powder's limitations. The 44-77 Sharps disappeared as the black powder era concluded, remembered only as the ultimate expression of 19th century cartridge design pushed to its absolute limits. Number 1. The exploding bullet, the outlawed ammunition. The deadliest ammunition of the Wild West wasn't a standard cartridge at all. It was the exploding bullet, a horrifying development so devastating it was banned by international law. Yet it still found its way into frontier arsenals, where desperate men resorted to desperate measures. This wasn't merely ammunition. It was effectively a war crime encased in brass, capable of inflicting wounds so terrible that doctors often opted for amputation over treatment. Exploding bullets appeared in various forms during the 1860s and 70s. The most common design involved a standard lead bullet that was hollowed out and filled with mercury fulminate or other explosive compounds. Upon impact, this explosive detonated, causing the bullet to fragment and create extensive wound channels that shredded tissue and shattered bone far more severely than conventional bullets could. The St. Petersburg Declaration of 1868 specifically prohibited exploding bullets in warfare, acknowledging their inhumane effects. However, the frontier was not a battlefield bound by international law. It was a lawless expanse where survival superseded regulations. Some hunters experimented with exploding bullets for dangerous game, believing the explosive effect would guarantee instant kills. The reality, however, was much messier. Exploding bullets were incredibly unpredictable. Sometimes they detonated perfectly, creating devastating wounds. Other times, they exploded prematurely in the gun barrel, destroying the firearm and injuring the shooter. The fulminate compounds were sensitive to shock, meaning rough handling during transport could lead to accidental detonation. Several documented incidents on the frontier involved exploding bullets harming their users. One account from 1873 describes a buffalo hunter whose homemade exploding rounds detonated in his rifle, destroying the weapon and costing him 3 fingers. Another story recounts a miner whose vest pocket ammunition ignited due to friction from his coat, resulting in severe burns. When exploding bullets did work as intended, their psychological impact was significant. Witnesses reported wounds that were beyond description, with internal organs destroyed and bones splintered beyond recognition. Victims who survived the initial impact often succumbed to massive infections, as fragmented bullets spread contaminants throughout the wound channel. However, unreliability and inherent danger ultimately rendered them impractical. Commercial ammunition manufacturers refused to produce them due to liability concerns. The few exploding bullets that reached the frontier were either military surplus smuggled west or perilous homemade experiments. Most experienced frontiersmen avoided them entirely, recognizing that the risk to themselves often outweighed any tactical advantage. By the 1880s, exploding bullets had virtually disappeared from the frontier. Improvements in standard ammunition made them unnecessary, while their legal ambiguity and physical danger discouraged production. Today, they exist only in museums and archives, physical evidence of how truly desperate and brutal the Wild West was beneath its romantic legends. From the pathetically weak rocket ball to the internationally outlawed exploding bullet, the ammunition of the American frontier told a story Hollywood never revealed. Each cartridge represented a different philosophy of survival: power versus reliability, versatility versus specialization, economy versus effectiveness. These were more than just bullets. They were the dividing line between living to see another sunrise or ending up in an unmarked frontier grave. The cowboys, lawmen, and outlaws who carried these forgotten cartridges understood something modern shooters often overlook. Your ammunition choice mattered as much as your shooting skill. The finest revolver ever made was useless with ammunition that failed in the rain or exploded in your pocket. The real Wild West relied on practical, reliable ammunition that worked when your life depended on it, not exotic designs that looked impressive but failed under pressure. So, which of these forgotten cartridges shocked you the most? Did you realize frontier ammunition technology was this diverse and sometimes this dangerous? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you learned something today about the real ammunition that shaped American history, subscribe, because we're just getting started uncovering the truth behind frontier weapons and the men who carried them. Until next time, keep exploring the real West, not the Hollywood version.